Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 77 of Nostalgia Talk, and also the final one of the year 2023. I'm James, and joining me for the last show of the year is Donna Kimball.
Hello, James. Hello, everyone.
Great to have you here.
Wow, number 77 and the last one of the year. Sweet.
That's right. Yeah, it's been quite the year for this show, but I'll talk a little bit about that at the wrap up. But for anybody who doesn't know, Donna is a puppeteer who's done a lot of work with Jim Henson Company and the Muppets. She has done Pajanimals on, what was it, Sprout, I think?
Yes.
Okay, we don't have Sprout here, but I've seen Pajanimals on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
She also was in Sid the Science Kid, The Happytime Murders, Spider-Man 2, Greg the Bunny, Crank Yankers, and the Netflix series Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and currently is performing Mokey Fraggle for anything Fraggle Rock related. So Donna, welcome to Nostalgia Talk.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, well, it's the last show of the year. What an honor.
Woo!
So let's get started with how did you become interested in puppetry?
Oh, I was always a Jim Henson fan, and a Sid and Marty Krofft fan as well. I think I grew up in a really great age. So, I watched HR Puffin stuff and I watched Sesame Street, and all the Jim Henson specials that would come on. Gosh, Muppet Musicians of Bremen, Frog Prince. I mean, those were all just so great. I loved them so much. They were so funny, and I just fell in love with them then and begged my mom for some puppets to play with, and so did my brother. And so my brother and I would put on shows for kids in the neighborhood, and so it was a love of that, just the puppetry I saw on television, and then decided to become an actor in high school and college, and still just would pull out a puppet every now and then just because it was fun. And then was working as an actor in South Florida doing one of my first equity shows. And my friend Paul Lewis, we talked about our mutual love of puppetry. And he said, hey, if I built some puppets and we took them around malls and schools and stuff, would you do them with me, do the shows with me? And I was like, sure, a little side hustle as a poor starving actor. Great. And then I just moved to LA when he sold one of his ideas to a local producer back in South Florida. And I went back to do that show, which was my first series, Jelly Bean Jungle, in 1994. And 29 years later, I'm still doing it.
And you said that you and your brother would do puppeteering for the local kids in the neighborhood. That makes me wonder, is your brother a puppeteer as well?
He actually worked on Jelly Bean Jungle with
Oh,
me because we needed a puppeteer for like the back half of the season. And so he came in, and that I think that was his one and only puppeteering gig, but he played a little character that barely spoke. And my best memory of puppeteering with my brother on a series was everyone was on the short little rolly carts, and everyone's really focused, like staring at the monitors very intently. And my brother had the biggest smile on his face, like he was having the best time. And it was very delightful. So he's an artist in all kinds of ways. He's super funny. So yeah, he's my bro. We tight.
that's great. So how did you get involved with Henson and the Muppets?
Gosh, well, I'd been working as a puppeteer in Los Angeles, but I kind of wasn't well established yet. I just was starting to meet people in the late 90s, and that's when I met Kevin Carlson and James Murray. At the time, they were offering classes um, in their bungalow. They had at that time a development deal with MCA Universal, and so they were offering classes, and that's when I met Leslie Carrara Rudolph and Allison Mork and Greg Belor and Kristen Charney and Tom Fountain. And I met all these wonderful puppeteers who I now call very good friends. And so it took a while for me to establish myself, really. And puppetry is weird. It's trendy, it's hot, and then it's not. So sometimes there's a lot of work and sometimes there's not very much.
Hmm.
So I had auditioned for a few things for Henson, but I just kind of didn't really get in the door. And then when Sid the Science Kid came along, I was just bound and determined to get a call back. So I was the most prepared for that audition that I'd ever been. And I went in feeling really great and confident and I actually coached with someone before the audition, which I think ended up really just putting me in a good headspace. And I finally I got hired at the very end of 2007 for Sid the Science Kid, and we shot most of that in 2008. So yay! And so I was hoping that they would go, "Where you been?" And they kind of did once I finally got in. Where you been? I was like, I've been out there knocking on your door trying to get in.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad that worked out. It's been wonderful.
And with Sid the Science Kid, like for a Henson show, like that, the kind of puppeteering on that, like that show is for the most part animated, but of course, like I remember when Fraggle Rock got rebooted as Back to the Rock, a lot of people I know who grew up with the original Fraggle Rock were like, oh yeah, but they'll just probably make it animated. And Sid the Science Kid, the puppeteering on that was like digital kind of animation rather than the
Mm-hmm.
traditional style puppeteering that we see on the Muppet Show, Sesame Street, and Fraggle Rock and Animal Jam, Bear in the Big Blue House, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how different was it for you to do that?
It's very different. It takes a lot of time to learn. I had trained on it just a little bit before I got the series, and Alan Troutman was brought on to help me learn because everyone else was pretty experienced on it. Julianne Busher and Alice Deneen, they all knew, and Drew Massey, of course, they all knew the system very well. And so I was the newbie, but I was determined to not be the weak link. So I think I was paid for about 8 hours of training, but I think I actually put in 80 hours of training. Um, because I had so much dialogue as the teacher and I had all the curriculum. So it was a lot of I'm a perfectionist. I push myself and I just really wanted to succeed. I didn't want them to go, "Oh no, we made a mistake in hiring this person." So I really wanted to deliver for them. And so yes, in answer to your question, it's very different. It takes a while to learn how to program and make the image on the screen do what you want it to do. So yeah, it's quite different. The cool thing is that you are the animator also. You're not just moving the controls, but you are adjusting expressions, building new expressions on the fly. So it kind of appeals to that left side of your brain. If you're
Hmm.
into computers at all, which I'm kind of not, but I really do get into the HTTPS system. It's fascinating. But ultimately it's the same. It's about the character, the performance, the story. In its very, core essence. But it takes a while to get there. It takes a while to learn that system. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So, can you talk about Pajanimals, where you got to be Sweetpea Sue and Bedtime Bunny? What was that show like?
Oh, that was a blast. That actually, we shot the first shorts during Sid the Science Kid. So I got to do a bit of both styles of puppetry in my first two jobs with them. I just really had a blast on that show. So we shot the shorts in Los Angeles, and then we did the whole series, which wound up on Sprout. And I think it's called Universal Kids now.
Hmm.
So we shot that for 6 months in Belfast, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was great. I mean, it was wonderful at that time. The North Ireland Film Commission was really eager to have production work brought in, and 16 South was the production company based in Belfast, and they struck up a relationship with Henson, and so it was great. Great crew, great cat. Two of us were brought over from America, and the other two were from the UK, and super intense, but really, really, I loved that show. That was my first time working with Alex Rockwell, who created the show, and Jeff Muncie, who the characters are based on his designs. So it was intense, but it was so fun. And Bedtime Bunny, I kind of got at the last minute because originally a male actor was cast and it just wasn't quite working out. So uh, I had to come up with that character pretty quickly. And it was my idea that she sort of gets stunned, wide-eyed, and fall over, and then little feathers come flying up. That was that was my idea. I was like, if, it'd be really great if this could happen. So they made it happen. So that was really fun. And I think I played Granny Pearl in that one. But I loved Sweetpea Sue. I really just loved that character so much. She was just fun. I wanted her to be like the weird girl, you know, because Cowbella is the pink and purple girl.
Hmm.
And so Sweet Pea Sue was kind of like the other girl. And she wasn't terribly developed. They had her in mind that she would be super empathetic, which I think she is, and maybe a little artistic, but I just wanted her to be a little weird and surprising because that actually was how my daughter was when she was younger. She wasn't always into girl stuff. She was into science and she wanted to be an alien for Halloween. And so that's why Sweet Pea Sue is an alien for Halloween because my daughter was an alien for Halloween. So
That's cute.
it's wonderful to have a direct inspiration.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love that character. She was just really fun.
So now you're doing Mokey Fraggle for Fraggle Rock related stuff, such as the Apple TV Plus series and also the little short films. How did you get that character?
Wow, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think I was just in the right place at the right time. The first time I did Mokey was the Ben Folds 5 video, Do It Anyway. And I don't quite know. They just asked me and I said yeah. And yeah, Karen, I think on that video was the only original puppeteer and everyone else was filling in for someone else. And I think they just liked what I did. And then after that, we did a benefit on stage where we sang Come and Follow Me. And Johnny Tartaglia played Gobo. Karen was there. I did Mokey. And it was a benefit for Dave Goals. So Dave Goals wasn't in it. So Boober wasn't in it. And
Hmm.
then Kevin Clash played Wembley, but he didn't have any lines. But I had like a couple of lines as Mokey, and I just really study the original series so that I could, match the voice. And of course, this was the original puppet at that time.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, they didn't change her design until the series was picked up. So even the Fraggle Rock Rock On shorts, which were shot during the pandemic, Mokey still is the original design. So yeah, I've had my hands in the original Mokey as well as the newly designed Mokey. And what a wonderful character! Kathy Mullen is such a freaking rock star. I mean, she's such a hero of mine. Just unbelievably talented. Just so skilled technically as a puppeteer. Amazing actor. Gorgeous singer. I mean, she's just. I'm such a huge fan.
Have you ever talked to her about Mokey before?
Just a little. When I first met her, it was on the purple carpet at the Dark Crystal premiere,
Hmm.
and I hadn't gotten. I think she knew that I had done like the Ben Folds 5 video and the live performance because that's all I had done at that point. But I did hear through the grapevine that she was pleased that I was uh, taking over for her, which is always nice to hear.
Hmm. I do kind of wonder though if she was ever like invited to come back for the reboots at all.
To my understanding, yes, she was.
Okay.
But it's hard. I mean, it's a big it's very physically demanding. You are on your feet for 10, 11 hours a day. You've got your arm in the air for almost that length of time. It's very physically demanding to do a show like Fraggle Rock. Some other shows are a little looser, but the schedule was super intense. And so we all have our reasons for saying yes and saying no, but knowing what you're getting into physically is a big part. I don't know why she passed, but yes, she was invited, absolutely,
Hmm.
because she was also part of the when the show was picked up. They had a big sort of round table where they invited um uh, folks from the original series to sort of talk about the canon of the show and
Hmm.
um, ways they could take the show in new directions for the current audience that still felt true to the original. So she was definitely part of that, as was Dave, Karen, and others as well. So yeah, she was definitely involved in the current series.
I've heard Kathy say before that Mokey, out of all of the Fraggle Five, puppet wise, that puppet is actually like when you look at it in the original series. I don't know if it's the same for the reboot, but Mokey's actually the tallest out of all of them, and she really has to get her arm in there.
Yes, and she is the heaviest. I remember hearing her
Oh,
say that.
really?
Mokey is heavy. She absolutely is. I had to put my hand in Boober for something, some crowd scene or something. And I was like, are you kidding me? He's half the length. So he goes like halfway down your arm. Mokey comes down past my elbow and and he weighs about half as much because he has no servos. She's got servos in her head and a cable that comes out of her. So she's literally twice the size and twice the weight of all the rest of them. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock to put on one of the other Fraggles. But yes, she is big and heavy. Yep.
Hmm. So you brought up Moki's wardrobe change in the new Fraggle Rock series. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
how that was established?
I don't know how it came about because I wasn't part of that. Decisions like that are made way above my pay grade. I knew they wanted um to update her look. But yeah, and no, I was just told Johnny and I were doing word party at the time, and he that's when he told me she's got a new iMac and we're giving her a new look and kind of showed me some sketches and some ideas they had. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was, I was gonna do her however, whatever she looked like, but yeah, I like her new look. I think she's colorful. To me, she fits
Yeah,
in this series and this world. But I understand also. I have my childhood favorite shows that I like, and I sometimes I don't like change either. I think most people have have been positive about the change, and some are not, and that's fine. I get it, and I certainly don't take it personally. But yeah, I like the look of her, and I think it kind of goes
I
with the
love it
current
too.
show.
I love it too. It's very vibrant.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the
She was
idea.
always very an artist. She was very much an artistic character, especially on the
Mm-hmm.
original. Like she was always writing poems and doing paintings. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and still
mhm,
does a lot of painting,
mhm.
singing,
Yeah,
the arty things.
yep.
Yeah, I think she's fun. She's a little more, maybe a little more woo-woo now, but in a funny way. I think the writers really wrote really well for her, and she's fallible too. And when she gets angry, I just find that hilarious because underneath this calm zen, trying to be zen exterior, she's just as human as any other Fraggle can be.
Yeah. When the reboot came out, of course, like I went in on it like immediately. Like the moment I woke up, that was the first thing I watched. The moment I woke up, episode number one of the new Fraggle Rock series. Like I posted online, all right, let's get this started. And a lot of my friends knew exactly what I was talking about. And a lot of them, I still get a kick out of this. A lot of them were placing bets on each other as to how long it would take me to watch the whole thing.
And how long did it take?
Well, some of them, like when I had heard of when they were, some of them were like, "Oh, you're gonna finish this in a whole day," and I'm like, I go out a lot. I'm going out today later on. Like I live in a
You have
tiny
a
nation.
life. Yeah,
Exactly.
you have a
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And plus I walk every day too. So I was like, I'll probably go for some walks. But my friends won. I finished it in a whole day.
Oh, good. That means you liked it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to season two when that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be delighted. You're gonna be
Okay.
even more delighted. I mean, we're so excited about the second season. Like,
Mhm.
I think it just goes, it's really something. The music, stories. I'm just so excited.
Well, to all you listeners out there, season 2 of Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock coming hopefully soon.
Yeah. Yes. Season 2.
hmm So, you brought up the Dark Crystal, and like meeting Kathy Mullen at the Dark Crystal premiere. What was that show, Age of Resistance, like?
It was great. I didn't puppeteer on the show.
Right.
I did visit the set, which was wonderful, but yeah, no, I just didn't expect to be on it. I mean, I really wanted to be. I think by the time I was invited to do the read throughs of all 10 scripts over 2 days
hmm
at Henson. Um, and just reading out loud for producers and the network and such. Uh, and I was like, cool. I just assumed it would be a lot of other puppeteers, but it wasn't. There were only a couple of puppeteers, and then everyone else was like voice actors and Shakespearean actors and actor friends of producers and such. But everyone was really great, and so we sat at the big conference table at Henson, and I was asked to read Aghura, of course, and Celadon, and like a half dozen. Everyone had like a half dozen characters that they were reading. And so I just thought, my job is to sort of vaguely represent the character so that, they get a sense of the story. I wasn't auditioning by any means, but I worked on the voice a little bit just so I could, get the cadence and stuff. Uh, and as I'm hearing it come out of my mouth in the room, I was like, "Hey, this sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm this is going well." And then yeah, and the feedback was really good that I got from folks, and so they went on to go and shoot, and Kevin Clash messaged me and asked me to give him some reference. He goes, "I'm shooting my first Augur scene tomorrow. Can you read these 2 lines for me?" And I said, "Sure." So I gave him some my readings as an MP3, and I did that a couple more times. And he said, "I'm going to try to get you, on the payroll. I'm going to try to get you like in the role, but get you on the payroll first as doing, scratch reference for me, scratch vocals for me." I was like, "Cool." And so I knew I was in the running, but I also knew they were looking at celebrities also because they talked to many celebrities for all the voice roles. But I'm sure they auditioned some people, but I ended up getting it. But just before that, I went to visit the set, which was amazing.
hmm
I stayed with my buddy Alice Deneen, and it was really something. And I got to meet all the puppeteers. It was the sets were so gorgeous and so lush, and it was amazing. And I had a chat with Louis Leterrier, and he said, "Have they talked to you yet about doing the voice of Aghura?" And I said, "No, I haven't heard anything." And he said, "Okay, I'll talk to them. I know someone who knows the director." So 2 weeks later, I got the part. So that was a fun day. That was a good, that was a big celebration. I was so happy because I just loved that movie so much.
Mm. I had a very similar experience on the first show that I worked on when I was finished film school.
Oh yeah,
So
tell.
So I got a friend of mine who was actually a previous guest on the show, a local animator from Halifax. His name is Ron Doucette. He sent me an email. I was working at a rental facility for film equipment, and he had emailed me and he said the animation studio that I work at, we're doing a project and we're wondering if maybe you want to be a part of it. And I was like, well, I kind of have this job right now. I'd love to, but maybe we could kind of work it out where I can still keep my job here. And we were able to. I just did this YouTube series with the studio. It's called Clue Kids. I just did that one day a week while they were filming. And they had an animated character that was a ghost. It was like a mystery series. So they had an animated character who was a ghost, and the director asks the production assistants, including me, we were a short crew. So it's like, okay, you do camera, you do sound, you just hold stuff up. So we all got to do a little bit of everything. And they said, we just need somebody to read the lines for this ghost character. Would anybody be willing to do it? And I said, I don't mind doing it. Sure. The intention was never for me to do the voice of the character, but just read the lines so that way they could time it for when it gets edited, and then the actor who was going to be doing it would put their lines over mine. And I read the script for this ghost, and I had kind of a ghostly voice in my head. I was like, I'll do this for the kids. And I thought, wait a minute, this character is a ghost. This could work. So I asked the producers, I was like, hey, can I actually play this character? They talked it over and they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to let you do it. So instead of doing it in a studio, we did it live. And so the director put a boom over my head, and he said, okay, James, just speak into the mic. He didn't specify what. Like, he wanted me to do my ghost voice, but he didn't tell me that. I'm a Judge Judy watcher, and I did a sound test by going, is not an answer. And the director just looks at me immediately and was like, do that. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing Judge Judy for this character. They wouldn't let me do anything else.
That's awesome.
Hey, they don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous and 5'10", although I am. But yeah, that's cool that you were just like reading the lines for this, like similar to me. You were just reading the lines for this character, and then they were like, oh, maybe we should get you in to do the voice. Yeah. So
yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
But sometimes you throw an idea out there and it sticks in people's heads, and then they don't hear anything else.
Yeah, such as
always bring your A game. Always bring your A game.
Absolutely. So recently you did the Muppets Mayhem series on Disney Plus.
Yeah. That was so fun. That was actually, believe it or not, my first time working with the Muppets.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was super, super fun. I really loved it. It's I got some good advice when I was starting my puppeteering career. Always be nice to whoever's assisting you, because chances are you're going to be assisting them in the next show. So when you're a working puppeteer, sometimes you're assisting and doing background characters, and sometimes you're the lead, and it's all fine. So I got to do a lot of assisting and background characters, which is wonderful, because I'm staring up and I'm making Floyd play bass, and I made Janice play bass for the first time in Muppets history, and assisting Bill doing Dr. Teeth Hand, his right hand, and I was just it was wonderful. I got to assist Stephanie DeBruzzo and be up close to watch her brilliance, and David Bizzarro and Leslie. I mean, it was just fabulous. Great mood on set. I mean, and really just listening and watching how these guys work, and it was really fun and so moving to see. I told Matt this in the van going back to base camp. I said, I really love seeing how close you guys are to each other, and they really look out for each other. They love each other, they support each other, they help each other out, but they're really brothers, not bros, brothers. And they're just the love and support they have for each other is very moving and inspiring.
Yeah, it's like a big family.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all so talented and funny and just delightful humans.
So moving on from the Muppets and Henson and all of that, what was it like working on shows like Greg the Bunny and Crank Yankers? Of course, those are a little bit more grown-up stuff than Fraggle Rock, Muppets, and Sid the Science Kid.
It's always fun to do the grown-up stuff because it's different. We do less of it generally. It was fun. It was different. It's always about the people that you're working with. Greg the Bunny was a blast. I was doing a lot of support stuff then because I think all the characters were male. I think they were promising me a female character when she came along, and she never kind of really did. But I had a great time. I think I mostly assisted Drew Massey on the hands of Count Blah. That was really fun, actually. So I got to know Drew really well, and really just getting to know those guys well on that show. It was super fun. My favorite memory of that is my daughter was 3 years old, and they had these little squirrels or little chipmunks that were kind of teamsters. I think they had hard hats on and safety vests, and the three of them were singing And my daughter went up and tried to scoop them all up, not knowing that they were rod puppets and there were puppeteers connected to them under the stage. And so they all went, whoa, 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 Veronica, whoa, whoa, easy. And I was like, oh, honey, you can't pick them up. Yeah, that show was really fun. They're all really fun. I can feel like I say the same thing over. It was great. It was fun. But no, that was a really fun show.
Well, you've also done a ton of films and TV shows such as Happytime Murders, Glee, Life in Pieces, which my family loves, and as I mentioned at the start, Spider-Man 2. And of course, in a lot of those and a lot of the other shows I've mentioned, such as Muppets Mayhem and all that, you've gotten to work with quite a few celebrities. Do you have any celebrity stories that you'd like to share?
Sure. Alfred Molina is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He, I think, is a real actor's actor. We actually had the tentacles and the whole setup ready for both him and an actor named Stephen Dillon. It was between the two of them in the final casting process. So all the executive producers come in with Alfred Molina and we, hook him up to the tentacles. And um, he was so clearly the one for the role. He was bold. He would say, okay, guys, all together now. And 1, 2, 3, strike. And so he goes, let's strike with this tentacle. And 1, 2, 3, strike. And so we're all like moving together and working together. And he just became one of us right away. So he was lovely, gracious, very patient. When I had to, when I had to pull his sunglasses off in the scene where he's like nose to nose with Peter Parker in the deli scene where he kidnaps Mary Jane. I had to grab his sunglasses and I got a little overly zealous and poked him in the temple. He said, if you could just not poke me in the temple, if you could just be gentle, so that you don't actually poke me. I was like, I'm so sorry, Fred. I absolutely will. But he was, he could have been a real jerk about it, but he wasn't. Um, yeah, most actors that we work with are just so enamored of the puppets. When you do the puppet episode of a show like Glee or Life in Pieces or Community, when the actors are there, they're just like, they all turn into little kids. They're all just want to play with them and touch them. And so it's pretty joyful. I'm trying to think if there's anyone who just hated the puppets.
I feel like that would be tough.
I know. Well, I don't think I'm dropping any bombs by saying that Trey Parker and Matt Stone kind of hate puppets after doing good Team America. It was really hard on them. They're used to animation where things can happen pretty quickly, and puppets things don't happen quickly, especially with marionettes. So they came away from they weren't a fan of the process, and came away saying if the studio approved a sequel, they would pick the director they hated the most and have him take over the show as punishment. So it's like, woof, yikes. But yeah, I think if you come in expecting something and you find out it's the complete opposite, you may not come away loving puppets. But that unfortunately was rare. But the movie was fun, right? That's a fun movie. Funny.
What about on the Muppets Mayhem? Because there were quite a few. There were like celebrities every episode. Were there any that you enjoyed working with on that?
I don't know that I saw too many,
Okay.
honestly.
I mean, you mentioned
I heard
David Bizarro and Stephanie DeBruzzo, and they were credited as special guests. So I guess maybe they count.
that, you know what? In my heart, they are celebrities.
Aw.
And they're absolutely delightful humans.
Oh yeah.
The human cast was wonderful, funny. Just it really, really was a family atmosphere with the human cast. But no, I wish I'd been there on Morgan Freeman Day. That would have been pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. So let's wrap it up with a fan question. This one comes from Anthony Thompson, and I got to give major props to Anthony. Anthony, if you are listening out there, I read all of the comments that come on Nostalgia Talk social media, Facebook, Twitter, and a lot of the comments I see from Anthony are often like really, really nice. Like James, I love how passionate you are about the Muppets. I just want to say, I really do appreciate that. As a matter of fact, Donna, I was at the Muppets Mayhem live stream on the Beretta Brothers podcast that you and Bruce Lanoil and Bradley Freeman and Stephanie DeBruzzo. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I was watching from my living room, and right before the stream started, I just typed my usual greeting on Nostalgia Talk into the live chat, and I just said, "Hello, friends." And I see this comment that said it was from Anthony Thompson, and I recognized the name from Nostalgia Talk's social media, and it was "Woo, James Nobes is in the house."
Ah.
So Anthony, I really do appreciate your generosity in the comments of Nostalgia Talk's social media. And Donna, Anthony wants to know about the Happytime murders. You and Alice Deneen played the Rotten Cotton Girls, but for the promos for the movie, someone filled in for Alice, and he pointed out that it sounded like John Tartaglia, and he wants to know if it was John or not.
Yes. Yes, Anthony.
Okay.
First of all, hi, Anthony. Yes, it absolutely
Oh,
was.
you know him?
No, I'm just saying hi because I appreciate your generosity and your niceness, Anthony. And yes, you good ear that you are exactly right. Alice was already in the UK working on Dark Crystal when we shot those promos. So yes, that was Johnny and I. And interestingly, when they did some tests before they went into production on Happytime, it was Johnny and I playing the two Rotten Cotton Girls then. So in a way, it was a reunion of Johnny and I as the Rotten Cotton Girls for the promos. So yeah, that was a really fun day. But yep, the only reason why it was not Alice is because she was playing Brea in Dark Crystal. So there you go. But I appreciate that good ear you've got, Anthony.
Yeah, nicely done. Well, that's all I've got written here. Is there anything else you want to say before I conclude?
No, just yeah, watch Fraggle Rock season 2 when it comes out. I don't know the exact date, but I think everyone's going to be really happy. We're super excited for it, and it was a delight to be here. Thank you so much for having me, James.
Well, thank you for coming. And to all you listeners out there, this is going to be kind of a long speech. I wish I had prepared something, but it's all up in my head. As I said in the introduction, this is the final Nostalgia Talk of the year 2023. And first of all, this is the first time in Nostalgia Talk's history that I have ever done at least one Nostalgia Talk every month. Sometimes that can't always happen because people get too busy, but no, we made it this year. There was at least one Nostalgia Talk every month, and we've seen it all this year. Like this year we went through the worst labor dispute in Hollywood history, the writer strike and the actor strike. How was your strike, Donna? Wasn't that fun?
You know, at first I was like, good, I get a break. It's gonna be nice to have a break. But then we ended up shooting our second season of GLOP, Glorious Ladies of Puppetry. So we're still in post for that. So it was actually a really busy strike for me because that was a low budget agreement that was not affected by the strike. So I actually was quite busy.
Well, at least you had a project to keep you going
I
during that
did. I had
time.
something
Yeah.
to do, something to keep me busy and out of trouble.
But yeah, we went through a writer's strike and an actor's strike that, as most people know, shut down film production for a long time, and also kind of stalled Nostalgia Talk for a bit because there were when the strike had happened, like some guests who hadn't even been announced yet even said, "I'm sorry, but we have to wait until the end of the strike." And even some that were already announced, sorry, but we got to wait till the end of the strike. And so I tried to figure out, okay, well, who's not on strike? And I found some people who were not on strike and also passed that time by doing retrospectives and lookbacks. And those are hard to do. Like the last one that I did, like the Christmas one, that one was a whole half an hour, but I recorded 90 minutes of audio and I was able to edit it into a whole half hour. But they're fun to look back on as well. But yeah, the actor strike and the writer strike are now both over. Hopefully some of those guests that are on hold will come on in 2024. Some of them will. I've started to talk to some of them. But As we close out 2023, I would like to thank Stephanie DeBruzzo, Serena Berman, Senta Moses, Spencer Lott, Louise Gold, Michelin Sisti, Tad Stones, Bradley Freeman Jr., JP Manu, Sean Cunningham, Craig Shemin, Keith Scott, Richard Whiten, Michael Goff, Sharon Lerner, Mitchell Kriegman, Dennis Scott, Jerry Beck, Pat Giles, Kathy Turo, James Preller, Pat Fry, Amy Meberson, Philip Wiltshire, and Donna Kimball for coming on Nostalgia Talk this year and sharing your nostalgic stories with me and with you guys, the listeners. And also a thank you to Marty Robinson and Lou Berger for coming back for the Slimy to the Moon retrospective. And also a big thank you to Katie Von Till for helping me get in touch with Senta Moses. Some people still don't believe me that I interviewed one of the kids from Home Alone. And I'm like, it's on the internet. Just look it up. But yeah, thank you to Katie for getting me in touch with Senta Moses, Bruce Lanoil for getting me in touch with Michelin Sisti, Ozzy Alfonso for helping me connect with Sharon Lerner, and Judy Levito for helping me get in touch with Jerry Beck. This has been a big year for Nostalgia Talk. Lots of guests, lots of look backs, retrospectives, and there's going to be a lot more of that to come in 2024. There may already be some stuff on the way. All I'm thinking of right now is that episode of Friends. Do you know something? Do you know something? Well, let me tell you, I might know something. But if you want to see who's going to be coming on Nostalgia Talk in 2024, you guys know where to go. Facebook, Twitter, all links to our social media will be in the description, so you can keep in touch with that. And in the meantime, in my retrospective on Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh that I posted, the plot of that was that Drake and Josh had to give a foster family the best Christmas ever. And I hope that you guys have the best Christmas ever, or Hanukkah, Festivus, whatever it is that you guys celebrate. Happy holidays, and hope you guys had a great year just as much as I did. I really don't want 2023 to be over, but can't really do much about that. And I hope that you guys have a happy new year. And until 2024, peace out.